Hi, I'm Robert, and today I'm going to show you how we take this image of Laguna Beach from here to here, all in Lightroom. Always check the tide and wave conditions before you go out and shoot. I shot this at Moss Beach. If the tide is too high, all of these rocks and possibly all of the sand will be underwater. Make sure the waves aren't too big, because if a big one comes in, you might be getting soaked. This is a small beach with one staircase access, so you won't have anywhere to go hide. Don't turn your back to the water. You never know when a big wave will be coming in. Let's get started editing this picture like we always do at the bottom. We're at the current version. I never apply vignetting towards my seascape images. Let's check it to see if this picture is level. There we go. Click remove chromatic aberrations and also enable profile corrections. We'll do our normal sharpening of 100 and applying a mask. Hold down Alt so we can have the mask overlay. Move the mask up until we're not sharpening the sky anymore. We're going to come back to split toning and color later. Let's warm this image up. And as usual, we'll bring the highlights all the way down and the shadows all the way up to open this image up. We'll set our white point up a little bit and our black point down. Let's go down to split toning. Click here. And let's add some warmth to this image. And then we'll do the opposite. We'll add some blue into the shadows. Okay, that's a good starting point. Next, let's adjust the colors. I always start with luminance. Luminance is how bright or dark a color is. So let's darken the colors to make them look more saturated. I'm going to choose the colors that are in the sky, orange and yellow. We'll bring them down slightly. Usually I don't go more than -10 or 15. If you go too far, it just starts looking wild. So we want to try and keep things sort of subtle. Then I go to saturation and punch up those colors that I just adjusted in luminance. So this is our starting point. Now let's adjust the sky a bit. We'll use our grad tool. Pull it down over our sky, get kind of an angle here. I want to add some magenta into the sky to kind of accent what we did with our split toning. And we'll also add some saturation. That looks good. We'll close it out and we'll go to the brush. Let's add some more color into the water here. So we'll just brush over this area of the water. We can press O so we can see our overlay and where we're affecting. We're just going to add a little bit of saturation. Not a ton, just a little bit. Maybe we'll even warm it up a little bit. That looks nice. Press New. Let's select all this white water in the midground, and we're going to brighten it up. Let's press O for overlay, see what we're working with. Let's bring the exposure up just a little bit. Now it really brightens up that rushing white water. Let's get one more brush here, and let's paint into these rocks. Just these foreground rocks. And I'm going to add some texture into them. The reason why I did that was to bring attention to the foreground element. I'm always looking at the foreground element first. It's what drives your eye through the image. So first we see our foreground element, which is the sharpest part of the image. We're followed through the brightest part of the image, and then back here to the most saturated part of the image. Okay, we're done with the brush here. Let's take a look at our composition. Here's our rule of thirds overlay. As usual, we have the horizon near this top horizontal line. I usually put the horizon on this line. So we have 1/3 sky and 2/3 ground. I usually don't put the horizon in the middle. If you put it in the middle, you're not telling your viewer if the sky is more important or if the foreground is more important. And since Laguna Beach has beautiful rocks and tide pools everywhere, we try and show that off. If we had a really amazing sky, I might point the camera up and put the horizon more towards the bottom, emphasizing the sky more versus the ground. These 4 intersecting points are usually where you put something of interest. We have the foreground element here, we have the rocks and rushing water. And then over here, we have in the background, the cliff and the houses. So we're looking from left to right and from front to back. So it's drawing your eye through the image. Those are the general composition techniques I use when I'm out shooting. I hope that was helpful. Let's take a look at the settings for this image. So I shot it at 1/8 of a second at f14 and ISO 200. f14 is my typical go-to. It makes everything sharp in the foreground and the background. Another reason why I use f14 is it puts you at the sweet spot for shutter speeds during sunset. 1/8 of a second is one of my favorite shutter speeds. We have nice movement of the water in the foreground, but we retain texture in the background. If we were using a slower shutter speed, we would be smoothing out all of the water and it would look a little unnatural. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.